Uh-oh. That was a mistake. That came off an oiler.
Stay tuned for Airgun Detectives.
Welcome to another episode of Airgun Detectives. Today, we're going to take the mystery out of the Barra Sportsman 1200G. This is a brake barrel. We'll get into the details on this in a second. But if you hadn't already, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button down in the corner. Really helps the channel, doesn't cost you anything, and I really appreciate your support. Also, check out my website, www.airgundetectives.com. On that site, we've got t-shirts, I've got various hats. We also have my Generation 2 bipods. And in addition to that, I only have a few of these little Rex compact scopes. So if you guys are interested, jump on those because they're going to be gone here really, really fast. All right, let's get back to the subject on hand. This is the Barra Sportsman 1200G. You know, occasionally what I like to do, I like to bring air guns at every budget. So regardless where your financial status is, there's an air gun out there for you. This one's a little lower priced rifle. And this runs anywhere from the $150 to $190 range, depending on whether you get it in the Vel camo or just the regular black. But this is a brake barrel put out by Barra. This is actually officially licensed by the Beeman Design. So Beeman designed it, Barra spruced it up. For instance, this has Barra's own stock on it. But the great thing about this model, it comes with two barrels. So you've got either the .177 or the 22 caliber. You can decide whichever one you want to shoot. You can mix that up. So anyway, as we were showing, this is a gas piston rifle as opposed to spring piston. It does come with a little spare. It's got a spare grub nut and Allen wrench, because when you change these barrels out, and I'll change it, I'm going to show you at the end of this, but there's a little screw right down here on this end that you just change it out and you swap the barrels out. But I'll show it to you guys at the end how you do it, how simple it is. Overall, these are 18-inch barrels, so it comes with both of them. They're 18 inches. The gun overall is 46.5 inches long. It also weighs about 7.5 pounds. It's got about a 4-pound trigger out of the box. That's what they claim. It has 11mm scope mounts. It comes with this standard 4x32 scope. It's non-adjustable. There's no power range on it, nothing. It's just a 4x32 scope. So it's just a fixed scope. This one, as I said earlier, this comes in the Vel camo. It also comes in just a standard black synthetic. So they claim the velocity on this, it'll shoot up to 1,200 feet per second. I'm sure they're referring to the alloy pellet, and they're referring to the .177 caliber barrel on this. So like anything else, we're going to go take this out and test it. It is a good looking rifle though. And I do recognize this trigger. That's a Beeman based trigger. And those are usually halfway decent. They really are. But like I said, this is more of a budget entry level brake barrel air gun. But let's see how well it performs. Let's go out and test it and then we'll come back and talk about it. Let's test out our Barra 1200 with a .177 caliber barrel on it, and we'll check it for velocity. I'm going to start out just with a lightweight pellet, just a regular 7-grain lead pellet, so we can see how much velocity we can get out of this. And then I'm going to tell you how it did with 2 other pellets that it actually performed really well with, and I'll tell you what the velocities are with those. All right. So 5 shots, average it out. Like again, we're just using these Diablo. Just the basics, the RWS. Let's just do 5 shots. Okay, 993. $985. $984. That's 3. This would be number 4. $995. And one more. $980. Little variation. The gun's still very, very new. Have very few rounds through it. So you see how well it performed with the 7-grain lead pellet. But let's talk about around an 8-grain pellet. This would be like your standard Crossmans are 7.9, but these are the H&N Sports. These are at 8.18 grain, so they're just a little over 8 grain. 925 feet per second, what we average. And that gave us a little over 15, almost 15 and a half foot-pounds of energy. And then we went with a little heavier pellet, and these are usually pretty good for accuracy. So these are the Barracudas, the H&Ns. These are a 9.57 grain. So we averaged 860 feet per second, but it also got us more foot-pounds of energy. We got about 15.7 foot-pounds of energy. So this gun is right around that 15 and a half foot-pounds of energy with the .177 caliber barrel. Well, let's try it with a 22 barrel. Let's test our Barra for velocity with the 22 caliber barrel. And what we're going to do, I'm going to use a basic, well, it's not really a basic. We're going to use a Meisterkugeln. I want to use a 14 grain pellet, just an even 14 grain. We'll do 5 shots. We'll average that out. And then I'm going to tell you how it did with 2 other pellets. So let's just shoot 5 shots, and we'll average it out and see what type of velocity we get. So like I said, we're just using a 14 grain pellet, just a Meisterkugeln. All right. So shot number 1. 748. Shot number 2. 767. Shot number 3. 763. Shot number 4, 766, and final shot, shot number 5, 771. Ooh, that one took off a little bit. Now this gun is fairly new. I don't have many shots through it at all. But just to give you an idea, so we also shot the Crosman Premier hollow points. These are a 14.3 grain pellet. We averaged 735 feet per second, and that's a little over 17 foot-pounds of energy. Also, these performed really well in it. We'll probably use these in the accuracy test. These are the H&N Barracudas, the 14.66. These averaged 725 feet per second, and also a little over 17 foot-pounds of energy. So depending on the pellet, you're looking high 16, 17 foot-pounds of energy with this, which is not bad. Not bad whatsoever. All right, let's move on. All right, let's test out our 1200 for some accuracy here. We'll start with a .177 caliber barrel. We'll see how well we can make it group. We're going to be shooting the Barracuda match pellets. These are by H&N. These are a 10.65 grain. These seem to do pretty well with that. We're also going to be using our splatterburst targets. These are our 4-inch targets. I showed you guys before. These come in a cool, convenient roll now. I'll leave a link for you down below. But they really help highlight the impact point. So we're going to shoot here at our usual break barrel distance, about 20 yards, 60 feet. Go ahead and take a quick look. All right, so let's just see how well we can make this group. You know, the optics on this that come stock with it, nothing fancy. It's just a 4x32. There's no adjustable objective. There's no power adjustment. But it's actually a pretty clear sight picture. It really is. I was a little bit surprised with that. And that's why I'm using it. Okay. But again, let's just see how well we can make this group. A little bit of wind. Not horrible. A little breezy. That's one. And 2. Three. 4. And one more. See if we can keep up this grouping. I hate to jinx it. All right. Wow, it's a heck of a group, I'd say, if I do if I do say so myself. Not bad. Look at that grouping. Okay, now let's try the 22 caliber barrel. All right, let's see how well we can make the 22 caliber barrel group. And for this one, we'll be using the Field Target Trophies, the 14.66 grain. Same thing, 5 shots. We're just going to be looking for grouping. Same exact distance, just a different barrel. All right, that's one. And 2. Drop that one. Okay. Shot number 3. Number 4. And one more. Yeah, you have to readjust the scope, by the way, when you change barrels. It's not going to shoot in the same spot. All right. And 5. That's a heck of a group. Not too shabby. I mean, both barrels grouping like that, you just can't beat that. And again, I'll tell you, once you change the barrels out, you'll have to readjust your scope because it obviously is not going to shoot in the same point. So just a little adjustment there. But anyway, not too shabby. Let's move on to the next segment. Okay, let's test the trigger out on the Barra 1200 here. See what type of pull weight we have. I can tell you up front, it's not a bad trigger. It really isn't. It's very controllable. But let's test out the weight. We got our trusty Lyman trigger gauge here. Let's give it a pull and find out. 3 pounds, 3.3 ounces. 3 pounds, 3.3 ounces. You can't beat that. It's actually a pretty good trigger, right around 3 pounds. Anyway, very controllable, and it is adjustable. And I'll talk to you a little bit about the adjustment at the end of this when we wrap it up. All right, let's move on to the next segment. All right, let's test our 1200 at our 40-yard range, doing a little plinking here. I've got the .177 caliber barrel on this. Actually, the 22.177, they shoot pretty much the same. But if you do notice, I did upgrade the optics. In all fairness to the rifle, at this distance, it's just, I want to give it a little better opportunity to shoot more accurate, so I upgraded the scope. But we're going to be shooting the 10.65 grains. These are the Barracuda matches. And I got 5 targets set up there. Go ahead and take a look at our distance. So I've got a couple eggs there, and then I got some hanging targets. And a little bit of a challenge there because the wind's going to be blowing a little. So we'll do our best. And if you'll notice, they're hanging from a new arbor. That was left over from a wedding that we hosted here at the house. And they didn't pick up the arbor, so I shortened it. And now it's holding targets. So I think that works out pretty good. Anyway, so let's see how well we do. We'll just shoot the 5 targets and go from there. Okay. I said there is a little bit of wind. We'll start with the, how about the white egg on the right? All right. And the red egg. Yeah, they're pretty hard. You can tell when it slaps those eggs around like that. Okay. There we go. Again, I like to say, that hits with a little authority, that's for sure. All right. Let's go on the left hanging object there. Yeah, that was a hit. Okay. And the middle. Yeah, that's a hit. And last but not least, let's see if we can hit the one on the right. Only downfall for 177 pellets. They're so small to deal with when you got big fingers. All right. That's a hit too. Spun those right out of the camera view probably. Anyway, yeah, it's not bad. This is not a bad rifle, especially at the price point. But let's go ahead and talk about it and wrap this thing up. So stay tuned for the next segment. All right, let's wrap up our conclusion here. How well did our Barra 1200G do? Well, considering the price point of this, remember this is well under 200 bucks. Didn't do bad at all. But like anything else, let's talk about my negatives. My negatives obviously is the scope, but that's so typical. These scopes, you know, you got to remember, this is what will get you by until you can afford to upgrade your rifle. But these scopes can get you by until you can upgrade. It's not bad, and I would say from up to about 20 yards, it's actually pretty good. Beyond that, I was having a little bit of problem holding the point of aim. I think it was moving a little bit on me at the 40 yards. It was more critical at that distance. So we just put another scope on there. It was actually much better to see through, obviously, and get target acquisition with this a larger scope. And it has the adjustable objective too. So this actually worked out pretty good on it. But you know, this review is really about the rifle. It's not about the scope. So that's kind of the negative. So once again, let's talk about this rifle. Again, it's a sub $200 break barrel. This is perfect for like an entry-level rifle. Okay, the positives on this. The rifle is not loud at all. In fact, these barrels itself, they have, you can call this, it's not a suppressor on it at all. It actually works kind of like an air stripper, which it actually pulls that air off that pellet as it's coming out, which is kind of nice. The great thing about this, it does come with both barrels, and which is really good because then you can decide, hey, do I want to shoot 22? Do I want to shoot 177? You guys have those options. The other thing I really like is the stock on this. This is a heavy-duty stock. Kind of reminds me of the PCP rifle we did by Barra. And this, I love the Veil camo. It's really nice looking. But it's very solid. This is not hollow, no hollow sounding to it. It's a solid stock. It really is. So that's a nice. You have your option between just your standard black synthetic or that. The trigger on the rifle, it's okay. It's not bad. They claim about 4 pounds out of the box. There is actually some adjustment on it. There's a little teeny adjustment screw in here, and then there's a spring adjustment in the back. So you can take some tension off it, and then you can adjust the break point on it. And you can actually, if you screw that screw in too far, you actually can engage the sear. So you got to be careful on that adjustment. You don't want to go too far. But it is adjustable. The rifle itself has some pretty good accuracy, but I'll tell you what the most ironic thing, and I've never seen this before, when I switched out the barrels, the accuracy was the same with the 22 and the .177. That usually doesn't happen. There's usually a major or minor variation, but this shot exactly the same. I think we had, what was it, 3/8 of a group, somewhere around that. I can't remember, .38. And it wasn't even bad at 40 yards for the plinking with a little larger objects once we upgraded our scope. As far as velocity goes, good velocity. This is right on par with other break barrel rifles that are right in this category. And you got to remember the cocking effort on this is somewhere between 35, 38 pounds, so it's not too bad. So overall, I mean, it's a good entry-level break barrel. It really is. But let me show you guys how you change these barrels out in case you're curious. All right, there's a set screw right here in the front. You're just going to take an Allen wrench. You're going to put it in that set screw, just like that, and you're going to unscrew it till your barrel comes loose. Try to do this without seeing it. Okay, so the barrel just comes right out just like this. So there's your barrel. So we're going to take the next one. And if you'll notice, there's a little indentation right here on the barrel. That's where your grub screw is going to go into. right here, there's a little indentation. So that grub screw is going to lock down in there. So then you know you have it deep enough and in the right location every time because it's tapered. And if you look at the grub screw here, they give you, remember I showed you, they give you an extra one. But if you look at the grub screw here, it's tapered as well. Okay, so then we're going to take our other barrel, and there's our 22 caliber. And we're just going to rotate it in. I like to just kind of rotate it, get it to go through. Don't force it, just kind of rotate it back and forth. And then you want to line this up. Obviously, you're going to line up the little indentation here with that grub screw. And then you want to just tighten it up. Just like this. That's it. Just make it snug. Now you're ready to go. So we just went from .177 to 22 caliber. Now, the only downfall is each time you change out that barrel, you're going to have to readjust your scope because the 22 and the 177 do shoot in a different location as far as the point of impact goes. So you're definitely going to have to adjust your scope. So each time that's the downfall. So you kind of think about which round do you want to go with for a while, and then I would shoot that for a while. This is not something you're going to be going back and forth with every day, but it does give you that option, which is really nice. So, but very simple. And again, remember this price point. Think about it. For break barrels, you know, it's got a nice stock. You got your choice of barrels. So overall, I would give this setup 4 stars. I really would. 4 stars. Because it wasn't an overall bad performance whatsoever. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Don't forget, this is where we take the mystery out of the air gun. So until next time, I hope you and your families are safe, doing well, and you're getting plenty of shooting in. Take care and God bless.